Chapter 5, Religion. Introduction. After reaching the stage of spirit, Hegel now delves into one of the most fundamental aspects of human history, religion. He argues that religion is one of the ways through which humanity attempts to understand truth. However, this religious understanding has evolved throughout history. At this stage, human consciousness no longer focuses solely on social laws or moral values, but seeks an absolute and ultimate truth. Analysis. Hegel explains that religion manifests in three fundamental forms. 1. Natural religion. At this stage, early humans worship nature. The sun, moon, animals, or mountains are seen as symbols of a higher power. This form of religion is primarily based on fear and reverence for natural forces. 2. Artistic religion. Here, humans begin to envision gods. This is the period when myths and various gods emerged in ancient civilizations such as Greece and Rome. Gods in this stage are no longer just natural forces, they have human-like characteristics and become part of stories and legends. 3. Revealed religion. This is the highest form of religion in Hegel's view, where humans reach the idea of one absolute truth. At this stage, God is understood as a universal and final truth. This is the religion most prominent in the world's major religions, such as Christianity. However, this stage is still incomplete, as humanity's understanding of truth remains bound by symbols and faith. Hegel believes that religion is an important step in the path to knowledge, but it is not sufficient on its own. While faith points toward truth, this truth has not been fully understood. For true knowledge, humanity must transcend religion and enter the final stage, absolute knowledge. Conclusion of Chapter 5. At this stage, humanity is no longer relying solely on individual or social experience but is seeking a deeper understanding of truth. Yet, this truth is still expressed through religious symbols and beliefs. Thus, the journey of consciousness continues, and in the next chapter, it reaches its peak in absolute knowledge. Chapter 6, Absolute Knowledge. Introduction. After traversing various stages of consciousness from sensory knowledge to self-consciousness, reason, spirit, and religion, humanity reaches its final stage, absolute knowledge. This is the point where Hegel concludes the entire journey of phenomenology. But what is absolute knowledge? Does it mean the discovery of the ultimate truth? Does it signify that there is no longer a need for further search? Analysis. Absolute knowledge does not mean that humanity has discovered the entire truth once and for all. Instead, it signifies that humanity has attained an understanding of truth that encompasses all the previous stages. At this point, the separation between the subject and the object, the mind and the external world, dissolves. The individual realizes that truth is not only something external to them but also something in which they play an active role in constructing. Hegel employs the concept of dialectic as the method of understanding. Throughout the journey of phenomenology, consciousness has progressed through contradictions and oppositions. In absolute knowledge, this dialectical process reaches its peak. Truth is not something static and unchanging, but a dynamic and evolving process. At this stage, the individual reaches a profound understanding of themselves, society, history, and truth. However, this does not mean the end of the journey. Rather, Hegel suggests that absolute knowledge is the beginning of true philosophy. This point marks the end of one path and the start of another for deeper reflection. Conclusion of Chapter 6. Absolute knowledge means understanding that truth is a unified and living process. At this stage, the divide between the individual, society, and the world ceases to exist. However, this is not a final station, rather, it is a doorway that opens to endless contemplation. Ultimately, Hegel shows that philosophy is not just a theory but an eternal journey of understanding. Chapter 7, Complete Knowledge. Introduction. After reaching the stage of spirit and experiencing religion, consciousness now arrives at a point where it desires to know the truth fully. But what does complete knowledge mean? Is truth something that can be fully understood, or is it always in a state of flux? Analysis. At this stage, Hegel demonstrates that knowledge goes beyond individual understanding or even religious beliefs. Consciousness now realizes that knowledge is a dialectical process, formed through contradictions, oppositions, and continuous growth. Complete knowledge means that humanity understands that there is no truth outside of itself that can be easily accepted. Rather, truth is the process of knowing itself. Here, the individual no longer seeks absolute truth as something separate from themselves but understands that truth is something that evolves in constant movement and dynamics. Two key features of this stage. 1. Knowledge as a process. Truth is not something static but forms through the course of history and human thought. 2. Unity of mind and reality. At this point, consciousness realizes that truth is a synthesis of experience, thought, and history. There is no longer a gap between the human mind and the external world, both move forward in the same path of knowledge. Conclusion of Chapter 7. Ultimately, complete knowledge means understanding that truth is not something to be discovered but something that humanity creates through the process of thought, experience, and history. However, this knowledge gains meaning when it is accompanied by freedom. This brings us to the final stage, freedom. The final chapter, absolute freedom and liberation. In the last chapter of the Phenomenology of Spirit, Hegel reaches the pinnacle of the journey of consciousness, absolute freedom and liberation. At this stage, Hegel shows how consciousness attains true freedom, but this freedom is no longer individual and limited, it is a freedom that is realized in unity with the totality of reality. Hegel references the French Revolution, illustrating that absolute freedom, if it remains merely an idea and is not translated into concrete reality and social institutions, can lead to terror and destruction, as seen during the Reign of Terror after the French Revolution. He argues that true freedom is achieved when the individual is embedded within a social and historical order and accepts themselves as part of the whole. This is the moment when the absolute spirit manifests, when individual consciousness merges with the entire world. Ultimately, Hegel emphasizes that freedom is only possible within society and history. The spirit, after traversing all contradictions and crises, reaches an understanding in which it perceives itself both as an individual and as part of the whole. This moment signifies the realization of absolute knowledge, the end of the journey of consciousness, and the attainment of unity with truth. In simpler terms, Hegel asserts that true freedom is not found in individual rebellion or in the negation of society, but in accepting a greater whole and understanding one's place within it. The Phenomenology of Spirit ends here, but this conclusion marks the beginning of a new line of thought that continues in Hegel's philosophy.